Hello and welcome, or welcome back to our 1.20 survival Let's Play. It is a brand new morning here in our world, and it was just raining last night, so we've got this beautiful rainbow up behind us from the shader pack. I love this effect. It's absolutely one of my favorite things. Oh, hello, Mr. Chicken. Okay, goodbye. But yeah, anyway, so let's get started on today's video. We are going to be building an enchanting tower today. Big enchanting room, tall tower, big statement piece in this little estate of ours. And this is our chest of materials that we gathered last episode that is going to help us build this build. So this corner of our property is going to be where we are building this enchanting tower. It's going to be quite tall, tallest thing I think by far that we've built. So I want to kind of tuck it in the back so it doesn't look too looming over everything else. And we can either build some nice pathways or maybe like a cute little garden or something leading up to the house and kind of connecting with everything else. I'm not 100% sure how much space it's going to take up, but it should probably come from both the edge to, you know, maybe here or so. So I think that's going to be a good amount of space between this build and the cottage. But obviously this land here is not very build friendly, so I'm going to go ahead and level everything down to the same level as the cottage and then basically clear this whole area out, and we can kind of refill in as we need to after the build is done. All right, and there we have it, a nice, ugly, empty field to start with. So the design that I am going to be using for this tower is essentially going to be two circular buildings sort of attached together. One tower kind of in the back that's going to be a lot taller, and then sort of like an entry building in the front. Neither of them are huge. It's basically just enough room for like an enchanting room and a little bit of an entrance. But they are going to be very tall. So I think it's going to be super fun, different sort of build. So this back tower, essentially, it's kind of, you know, your traditional circle. So we're going to do 5 as the sides of the circle, and then we're going to go out. And then this actually is only going to have like a 1-bit corner. So we're going to go, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 there, just like that. So this essentially is going to be sort of what we walk into, and we're going to have our enchanting table right up in the middle, and then bookshelves kind of all around the outside. And then this entry building for the front is going to be a very similar shape, basically kind of the same circle, just a little bit wider on these sides. So we're going to inset it just a tiny bit. So we're going to kind of think that the start of the circle is going to start back here instead of at that line there. So we'll do 5, and then this one's going to have 1, 2, and then the next line of 5. 1, 2, and then the next line of 5. 1, 2, and then the next line of 5. So you can kind of get an idea of how that looks from the front there, and this is just sort of that intersecting point of the two circles. Now, of course, all these intersecting pieces are eventually going to be broken down on the inside just so that we have kind of one big open walkway, or at least partially broken down so we have a good doorway into our enchanting area. But I'm going to leave them for now because it provides a good guide for the roof and the rest of the build. All right, so let's get to building up these circles. And ta-da, we have a tower. Now, it is looking a little bit ugly right now, but we're going to take this one step by step. And this was the first step. So I'll put a little image on the screen here to kind of show you the dimensions in case you are interested in building something similar. But essentially, this first little building here is 5 high. And then the tower behind it goes 12 high, and then a break just with another color wood. And then it goes 6 high, and then a break, and then another 6 high, and then that's where the roof is going to start. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good base, and it kind of does give us a bit of an idea of what it's going to look like compared to everything else in this area as well. Now it is quite set back in there, which does make it look a lot smaller than it is. And honestly, it even doesn't really take up as much of a profile as the house from a lot of angles, but you know what? I don't think it's worth moving it. Maybe if this was, you know, some kind of crazy creative mode, I would bring it more inwards, but this is survival Minecraft. You can't plan everything out perfectly, and I think it's going to work perfectly fine back here. We can make a really cute, magical looking path leading up towards it, and yeah, I think that's going to be just fine. All right, so the next step is going to be putting on the roofs. So you can see I put in the toolbar here, all the materials we're gonna need for this. So we're gonna be using dark oak slabs for like lining the outside of the roof. And then these are gonna be very like round, pointy, wizard towery kind of roofs. Nothing super, super fancy, but we're gonna be using full blocks. So I'm gonna do a sort of, I don't think it's really gonna be a gradient, to be honest. I think it's gonna be kind of more of a mix with like a slight gradient feel to it. But we're gonna be using pink wool, pink concrete, magenta wool, magenta concrete, and then sprinkling in a bunch of amethyst in there as well, just to give it that bit of sparkle. All right, that's what it looks like with the roofs on. I think it looks pretty good, pretty complete. I'm thinking maybe I'll add a little something like kind of like a spire situation at the very top there with just like some wood, just some wood fencing or maybe some kind of wall piece. I'm not 100% sure yet, but that is what that looks like. And I think it's really kind of showing it's starting to come together there. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do, usually my next step in builds, is I'm going to place out where our windows and doorways are going to go. So for this first little level here, everything is going to be up one. We're going to have a like little staircase going up to it. So right there is going to be the door. I wanted to put the windows on these cute little corners because I think it kind of makes a unique sort of window on the diagonal. And I think I did break them down just one too low here. So it's going to be one up from, that's going to be the floor level, obviously. So there's going to be one block and then the window. And then on the sides here, I think I'm just going to do a small window on both sides. I do want the inside to be kind of like a dark and spooky almost sort of look, or I don't know, sort of like an ethereal, magical, but dark look. So I think that's going to be plenty of light. Now for the middle rung of the tower here, I think we could do another corner window. I think that would look good. And I am going to put it up higher to the top because I think we're going to have a sort of balcony situation start to happen on the edge here. We'll just make it 3 for now. We'll see whether or not that is too much. We might have to block off the bottom here as well. And of course, we'll do the same thing on the other side here. And then right up front here in the middle, I think I want a sort of very large doorway almost looking thing. We're not actually going to be able to use it. I'm not making a staircase that goes all the way up, but I think we could still make it work. Yeah, there. I think that will detail that level up perfectly fine from the front. Now for the sides here, I'm not going to put any windows down below the height of this because we are going to do bookshelves there. So I think I'm just going to do like one in the middle there, along one there, and then one at the very top. Just kind of little slit windows. Nothing too exciting, nothing too big, so we don't want to let in too much light, but I do think we kind of need windows to just decorate this thing up a little bit. And then on the back, I am basically gonna kind of mirror on the corners what we did on the front corners. And then I think I'm just gonna do 3 small windows on the back here. All right, there we go. I think with a bit of detailing, that is going to be the perfect amount of interest to add to these walls. All right, yeah, it's not perfect. There's a little bit of unevenness, but I'm not 100% sure how tall those windows are actually gonna end up being once we put the framing in. So I just kind of wanted to generally map out where they're going to go, and I think this is looking pretty good. All right, so next step is going to be detailing the front of this build. So first of all, looking at it, I think this needs a little bit more interest up here. So I think I'm going to take this part of the roof and actually just arch it up a tiny bit, just to give it a little bit more, you know, just a little bit more to it. There, something like that. And then the next thing I think this needs is a much larger doorway. So I'm gonna go ahead and break all the way around where the door is going to be. But of course, I'm not gonna put 3 doors in here. I'm gonna kind of make the illusion of it. So I'm gonna have this set back a bit. Something like that. And then the actual door will go in the center here, of course. And we can use some stairs and some trapdoors to add a little bit of framing around here. There we go. That looks much more like an entryway fitting of Enchanting Tower. Hello, sheep. So we are also going to need a little bit of a staircase coming down. And I think instead of using stairs, I'm going to use slabs. And I'm going to do this in spruce. So if we have a base there, maybe we'll bring it out 2 more and then we'll do the slabs 2 wide. And then I'm going to go ahead and just put the last little bit into the ground here. And we'll use some dark oak to sort of act as railings on the sides. Last but not least, let's not forget the door, and then we'll take a look. Yes, okay, that is looking good. Now for the windows on the sides here, actually for the windows in this whole thing, I think I'm gonna be using magenta glass. I think it's just gonna add quite a bit of a little cute color pop to everything. Yeah, I think that looks good. Because who doesn't need more color in their pink and purple and pink build? Now these windows are, I don't know, they're in the front, they're already fairly detailed. I think I'm gonna leave them reasonably plain. I'm just gonna go ahead and put some trapdoors up here for some framing. And then I'm gonna add some azalea leaves on the sides here for some decoration and use some spruce slabs to sort of make it look like they're inside of planters. Sorry, dark oak slabs is what I meant that I was using for this part. And there we go, look at that. So if we look at it from here and don't look at that tower too much, I think that is absolutely perfect. So for these windows on the sides, I think I'm just going to do something very similar. I don't have enough glass, I need to go and get some more. But I think maybe I'll do a little bit more of a framing sort of style that we're gonna do up on the walls there. So I was thinking maybe a stair like that underneath since it's up quite high. And then we can do just some spruce trap doors around the edges. And there, I think since this window is so close to the top, I'm not gonna bother putting anything up top. And there she is. So I would say this is easy part done. Now we need to work on that tower, which is gonna be tricky as it is because it's kind of hard to build up there. But obviously we will do our best. All right, so I'm gonna start with this front big door situation just to kind of get my bearings, and I think this is gonna be the easiest place to build of all places. So I'm gonna put in a deck here so that it's almost like you could walk out the door and onto the deck, even though we're not gonna have a floor up there, but it's all about the illusion. All right, so I think this can be 1 more down because I'm gonna go ahead and put the deck right here. There we go, it's quite big, but I am going to surround it with some fencing in spruce just to kind of mix up the color palette a little bit. There we go, just like that. I'm gonna leave this open for now just so that I can keep getting in and out. For the doorway, I'm going to line it with spruce trap doors, except for in the top corners here where we're gonna round it off a little bit with some stairs. And then I'm going to add a little peak over top of this door just to give it a little bit more oomph. And now that I'm looking at it with this top framing, I think I'm gonna go ahead and replace this top spruce bit with spruce slabs so that it sticks out just a little bit more. There, that looks about right. And then for these windows, I am gonna go ahead and make these 1 higher up because I wanna do a little bit of a bottom framing and a top framing. So up here, I'm gonna do stairs, just like that. Try not to fall off the edge here. And then underneath, I'm gonna do the exact same thing, but upside down. And to bring in that spruce back up here, I'm gonna go ahead and fill these walls on the sides of the windows with spruce trap doors, kind of like shutters, or even just, you know, some sort of framing. And then of course, the magenta glass in there. And last but not least, of course, a few lanterns. All right, and that's what it looks like from up here and from down below. I think it's tying in quite nicely with what we've already done. So let's jump our way up to the very top level now. All right, so for this front window here, of course, we're gonna be using the magenta glass again. And then I'm thinking we'll do kind of a similar style, although it's not going to be exactly the same, but we're going to use the same colors and such. So I'm going to go ahead and put some dark oak stairs on the bottom, and then we'll frame the window with some spruce trapdoors. And then at the top here, I'm thinking we'll go back to the dark oak and we'll do some stairs to make a sort of tiny arch. Yeah, there we go. I think that works. And then these side windows here are going to look the exact same as the side windows down below. All right, there we go. So one last little bit of detail that I do want to put on this side is a little bit of a ring around here. So I'm thinking about spruce slabs, just something nice and easy. Let me get a little closer. Just something to give a little bit of depth and a little bit of color variation along this edge here. There, like that. All right, and there is our enchanting tower complete. And why is there a creeper? And why are there pillagers? Why is everybody trying to destroy my beautiful new building? Why are you all here? What is happening? Oh, okay, well anyway, I was gonna say, there is our enchanting tower complete, at least the front. I'm gonna have to go ahead and do all of the other sides, so I will speed that part up for you because it's gonna look pretty much identical to this side. And I guess first I need to, oh, okay, the creeper disappeared. That's horrifying. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of these guys at least, and hopefully there's no creepers around to spawn. Okay, now let's get these other walls finished up. And it's finally completed, at least on the outside. Wow, I definitely think this is by far one of my favorite builds. No, this is by far my favorite build in this world so far, by plenty. So now I think it is about time we go inside and start to tackle that as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and break down this wall, or these two walls, just to open up this place a little bit. I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna break it down all the way, but maybe at least to this height. There we go, that looks about right. And then first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in the flooring in here. Okay, there we go. So we've got some dark oak in the entry area and then some beautiful sparkly amethyst in the back area. So this here is where we're gonna be putting our enchantment table. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna bring it out a little bit because essentially what I'm thinking, actually no, I think it should be fine as is. So the bookshelves and then a spot free and then the table here. I think that should work. The only thing that's gonna be a little bit weird is the bookshelves are gonna be inset a little bit on this side because it needs to be one away, but I think that's okay. Actually, I think I have an idea of how we can make this work. So now that we have Silk Touch on our pickaxe, I'm not too concerned if we have to place some and then break them afterwards. But I'm gonna go ahead and fill this in. So that's 14, which means we really only need one more kind of row. And then if we just put a couple others here, oh, we are one short. But I actually think that's okay because we do have a few extras. So the surrounding ones now we have 18, I believe. Yeah, 18, which means we can actually get rid of 3 and kind of replace them with either the chiseled bookshelves or some other things just for show. And I definitely did not use my Silk Touch pickaxe there. Good job. Okay, I think that is perfect. We have a book, so let's see if we can double check here. Yep, level 30, we've got it. That's awesome. So now this is where this starts to get a little funky. So we're going to be filling in all of these walls. Actually, I don't even know if we have enough materials here. I might need to go back and get more, but we're going to be filling in the walls on the inside with skulk, cyan concrete, and black concrete. Basically, actually it doesn't need to go all the way up. We can kind of end up, you know, not actually looking all the way up in the tower, which might be, I think might work out a little bit better. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and start filling in these walls and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, there we go. That is the exact vibe that I was thinking. We aren't going to go all the way up to the top. I don't think it's worth getting all of the extra materials. It's just going to kind of fade into the top anyway. I'm not too concerned about that. But so now the real interesting part about this interior is we are going to be bringing the allays in, and they're going to be flying around on the ceiling like fun little ceiling lights, and I think it's going to look super cool. So all we really need to do that is fill this roof in with some glass. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, I think if I colored this glass, like, I don't know, maybe mean, maybe black will take too much of the light away, but maybe I'll look into doing the cyan. I think I might have some extra cyan dye. I think it's going to get rid of that white border so strong, and it's going to look so much better. Okay, yeah, black was definitely the way to go. You can hardly see it at all in there. That's going to look so good. Now, the last thing that's not quite sitting right with me in here are these windows. I think I'm going to have to cover them up, and I'm going to cover them up with the skulk so that when you're looking in through the windows, it still looks kind of cool. Okay, that's much better. Now, the last thing that I wanted to try up here is hanging some, like, magical hanging lanterns. I've seen people do this with, like, stained glass paint, or not stained glass paint specifically, but glass panes. So I want to give it a shot. So I think all it is you put like a block above wherever you want it. So you want it right there. And then if we put a pane underneath, then we can put a lantern attached to it, if I could see it, like that. And then if we break those, it's kind of this like spooky, magical hanging lanterns. I'm going to hang up a few of those at like different heights in here. Yeah, I think that works. We'll also take one more lantern and place it just down here to make sure that it's bright enough, and we will destroy all of these temporary torches. Got a few extra books, so I'm just gonna kind of fill these bookshelves a tiny bit. And now all that's left is the hard part, which is getting our allays trapped up there. Now, I do have a feeling that this is going to be by far the hardest part of this whole build. I think it's going to be a little bit of a nightmare trying to get those allays up here, but I think I'm going to, I'm just going to go for what I think is going to make us our best shot. So I'm going to dig in here a little bit to give us an opening. And we have 4 on leads right now, so I'm going to put some fencing in here just temporarily so that we can tie them up when we get them in here. And I am going to risk it and just let these guys out because the ones in this house are the ones who want to follow me. So maybe they will follow me all the way in there while I'm getting these guys in. Who knows? All right, that was certainly a bit of a process, and I think we might have lost one along the way, but, it is what it is. So we've got 2 out here, just because they ended up outside, and I actually think it's kind of fun having them fly around a little bit in here as well. And then we managed to get 5 up into the rafters up there, and I think they look so cool just hanging out up there. They match so well with this decor. I think it adds quite a bit to it. I'm not 100% sure about these guys yet, these extra ones just kind of flying around in here. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's ruining it a little bit and we should just stick with the ones up there. But maybe you can let me know in the comments what you think, if we should just let these guys free or what we should do with them. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and decorate up this little front entryway interior. I think I'm just gonna make this look kind of like a study or an office, something like that. Fairly simple, but I will show it to you when it's all done. All right, so here is the interior all completed. Nothing too exciting, but I put in a couple of desks to make this look sort of like a little study room, I suppose. It kind of makes sense, enchanting in the back, and then you can kind of do your, studying and work in the front here. An office or something, I suppose. So there's just one little desk over here. It just kind of hides our crafting table because I figured a crafting table would be useful in here. And then over here, I did a lectern, and I did the book and quill, partially just so that it looks cooler. It looks like you can actually sit here and read, but we could also use this. I'm not really sure what I would want to use the book for. Maybe we could start writing like to-dos or something like that at the beginning of the episodes. I think that could be good. Oh, I just noticed I have a pot up there that does not have a flower in it. I'm gonna have to go and get one. But either way, we got a lot of decoration in here. I brought some of the skulk veins out and about as well. I don't think they grow like vines do. They haven't really, I'm pretty sure I placed all of these. I don't really think they've been growing. Maybe they only grow onto skulk. I'm not 100% sure. Or maybe they don't really grow at all. But that's all right. That's kind of what that looks like. In here, I basically just put a chest so we can store, things that we're enchanting or whatever. I figured these bookshelves we can use for our actual enchanted books. And then the bookshelves over here have just plain books in them that we can enchant. Although I do have a bunch in that chest. I think I'll maybe, I don't know, I might move those ones and use them for actual bookshelves in our library. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, yeah, that's what it looks like. I also brought in a couple of our pots. We still have a couple of pottery shards left to make some pots, so I thought they would look good in here. And yeah, that is that. So as always, let me know what you thought of today's episode in the comment section below, whether or not you like this build and all of that fun stuff. I think next episode we're going to be decorating that skeleton spawner that we found so that we can get our levels back up after all of our deaths that we occurred last episode. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions after the skeleton spawner as well, and I will talk to you in the next one.